So we're going to talk about Eclectic Elements Palette. Now, this is a year-long fabric release that I did with Free Spirit Fabrics. We're actually 4 colors into the release, which is very exciting. And I thought it was a good opportunity to kind of take a break and share some inspiration. As this is this month's color, I will say, yellow, that is in stores. Now, Eclectic Elements, all of Eclectic Elements, this is available in independent retailers only. So that's going to be both brick and mortar stores, but also online shops. If you are a retailer that is selling Eclectic Elements, drop your name and where you're at in the chat so people can find you. The thing to also know, if you are looking for retailers that sell Eclectic Elements Palette, Mario can put a link in the chat of retailers. It'll take you to Free Spirit's website for a store locator, because there are stores not only in the US, but also in Europe that sell Eclectic Elements Palette and other Eclectic Elements designs. It's really fun to kind of share with you the inspiration of this palette. So each month there is a color that is released, and in that color there are 10 designs. And the designs, they vary. Some of them are going to be repeat designs like collage strips or stamps or tickets. This was all inspired by the Ideology line. You'll also see typography, games, all sorts of different cool and unique fabrics in a specific color. Then the next month there will be, so we've already launched pink, that was our first one. Then we did red. Now, although we have different, I'll just say, colorways, the art is also unique. So for example, these collage strips are different than the ones in pink. Same with the stamps, same with the tickets. The art is completely unique. So a shout out to Jenna and Debbie at Free Spirit for really helping pull this creative line together. And of course, the shout out to everyone at Free Spirit, the marketing team, everyone. It takes a lot to keep this train on the tracks. And I absolutely love it. I love this ledger one. So this was red. This is the one that was in stores in January, first of the year. Then last month in February, we had orange. So I love this color. Look, the toadstools and the map. So always unique art. So it's really exciting to see not only the colors and the different tones, but also the designs in each collection. And then, as I mentioned, this month in stores is yellow. And although if you've been following me, you know I'm not too much of a yellow guy, this is surprisingly happy to me. It is so great to see all of these colors and designs work together. Everything from butterflies and wallpaper and tapestry, again, game cards and maps. It's really fun to have a unique collection. And of course, with the collection, there are also unique quilt patterns that the independent retailers have that you can go and check out. And so I just wanted to talk about like how to get the fabric, what the fabric comes in, because maybe you're not even a sewer and you're like, what am I doing? Do I even know anything about fabric? Well, I'm not really a sewer. I can sew, but I wouldn't call myself a quilter or sewer. But one thing to keep in mind, and that's one of the big reasons that I wanted to do this particular live now. We did the initial palette launch live last June, where I did a whole overview of all of the colors coming out in this collection. So like I said, if you're new to palette and you haven't checked out that video, Mario can put a link in the chat, if you don't mind, Mario, please, to that original video where you can get a full overview of the designs and all of the colors. But what we have done since that video is we have kind of changed the scheduling a little bit. We needed a little bit more breathing room, both for Free Spirit as well as the retailers, to get the fabric in, to if they were going to cut it into fat quarters or anything, to do that, process that, and of course share inspiration. So this is kind of the updated schedule that I'm going to cover, that you can expect to see a color in store. Okay, that's going to be really important. So we started out with November having pink, and then January was red. Orange was in February, and like I said, March this month is yellow. Now, when I say in stores, that means that the store is getting all 10 designs in a colorway. That means they also might have stock of the previous colors, but once a color sells out, it's sold out. It is not being replenished this year. So it's really important to know that if you know, it's not too late if you wanted to go back. I'm sure there's still retailers that have pink or red, but just know that when the color is gone, especially as we get later in the year, it's going to be harder and harder to find these early colors. Then we go into April with the neutral palette. You can tell I'm very excited about this, all the browns, beautiful. Then we go, green will be in May. And again, this is in-store month. So some retailers might get it a little bit before that month, and that's fine. They're able to sell it, but this is the month that we're going to promote it with Inspiration, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And then, of course, in June, you can see the teal palette. This is a beautiful, beautiful palette. Then we have blue in July and indigo in August. And while you might think like this is a lot of blues, the tonalities are completely different. The art is completely unique. So it's really exciting to kind of see these colorways come together. And then we have purple in September. We have a charcoal palette in October, kind of the second neutral, if you will, but it definitely has more black tones. It definitely has a little bit of brown and some taupe, but it's focused more on charcoal. And then the wild card, which is multi-palette in November. Wait until you see the art for this. I'm not going to share it yet, but it is so cool how the multi actually played out, because in the June release, we didn't even have multi finished at the time, so I didn't share Inspiration. So I figured I'm going to hold out before I talk more about the multi palette as we get closer in the year. There's also a seasonal release of palette that we'll talk more about later in the year when it's ready to ship. So for right now, it's about focusing on what you can get right now, which are these first 4 colorways. So in the world of fabric, because like I said, I don't sew or quilt, but there is a need for fabric in my world, because what I love about fabric is that it can be used so many different ways. Yes, you can quilt with it, you can do pillows, you can do clothing, you can do home deck, you can do all sorts of amazing things with fabric, but also as makers, you can use them in junk journaling, you can use them for all types of different decor, including stuff with ideology. And so there's different ways that you can purchase fabric, and that really depends on your retailer or where you look for fabric. So again, if you're a retailer and you're watching this, you're watching it live, just do a shout out for your store and where you're at in the chat so people can find you. The cool thing about fabric is that yes, you can buy it by the yard. Now that's something that I don't do because, well, I don't quilt, so I don't need that big of a piece. Fat quarters for me is where it's at. So I wanted to talk about fat quarters because if you're not in the sewing universe, you may not even understand what this is. What these fat quarter bundles are, there is and I talked more about like the measurement size, but essentially what you're getting in the bundle is you are getting a cut piece, a pre-cut piece of each of the designs in each colorway. So if you are looking just for like, hey, you know what, I don't know what I want to make, but I love fabric and I don't know how to start or where to get stuff. To me, fat quarters, that's where it's at, because you're getting, well, I would call it like the little sampler pack. You're getting all the designs. You don't have to pick and choose. And there's plenty of fabric to do a lot of things. And that's why I wanted to share the makes today, because you're going to see that the majority of the makes, almost all of them, are made from fat quarter bundles. And so a little goes a long way. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, the designs and scale, like even down to ledger. This is a digital printed collection. So the colors and detail are, well, it's just phenomenal in every single colorway. Like orange, I know a lot of people love. I mean, look at the detail of those toadstools. Come on, from a vintage encyclopedia. But even down to maps and florals, you can see all of the designs also on different websites. But if you go to timholtz.com, you click products, click Eclectic Elements, that tab, and then go into palette, you'll see thumbnails of all the designs in each color collection as well, and you can actually click the arrow to enlarge. So if you wanted to get a closer look at all the different designs, I recommend going there. That's an easy way to find it, and you can also see all the other collections. But yeah, just beautiful to see all of these different fabrics and different colors, and that's where the makes are going to come in. So we'll start out with the pink makes. That was our first color that we launched, and so a shout out to Paula Cheney and Rochelle Christensen. They continue to sew and make every single month for palette. Rochelle is like an amazing quilter. She can quilt like nobody's business. She quilts, does pillows, does clothing. She does it all. Paula also likes to sew, but not as much as Rochelle. And Paula's take is incorporating fabric in a different way, maybe to do with ideology or journals, or just makes where you wouldn't expect fabric, but when you see it, you think, yeah, I need to do that. So thanks to both of them, they do such amazing, amazing content. And the content now for palette is shared every week. So every Tuesday, there will be, I'll be sharing it on social as well, but they post an eclectic element to make for that particular month. So for example, yesterday, Rochelle posted her first yellow make, and then Paula will be next week, and then it'll be Rochelle the week after that. Free Spirit, if you don't follow them on Instagram, they also repost the content. So a shout out to the team at Free Spirit for supporting that. So we'll get into pink. Now, some of these makes require patterns, some of them don't, okay? Some of them have blog posts, some of them don't. So here's the thing. Rochelle, who did a lot of the sewing of the bags and pillows and all that, she just did a blog post today. Mario, if you don't mind putting a link in the chat. And it's really a comprehensive blog post of all of the makes that I'm going to share in today's lives. And if it has a pattern, she's listed what pattern she used. She's got all the information. So if you see something that inspires you that you want to make, and you're like, well, is there a pattern? Is there this? Check out that blog that Mario put in the chat. It's Rochelle Christensen. You can just also follow her on Instagram, and you can see from that blog post which one is a pattern or not. So these little totes, these little zipper bags, these are done with pink palette. And I love, of course, the design and scale. When we were working on this, I'll admit, I couldn't really wrap my head around palette to begin with. I knew what I wanted to do. When I brought this idea to Free Spirit, I wanted this whole collection of colors. But initially, I envisioned it like every month we would just launch a rainbow of colors. Like we would launch one design in pink, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, all that. And they were like, no, I don't think that's really how, quilters are going to see this. And I'm like, I don't really understand it. So I did reach out to Michelle. I'm like, would you ever want to make something with all pink fabric? And she's like, absolutely. If the designs were different, if the scale was different, if it had neutrals in it. And I was really educated on seeing this come together. So I do appreciate that input, and also the team at Free Spirit for kind of, again, keeping the train on the tracks, because I was derailed many times. But if you look to see how this art comes together, and if this looks familiar to you as a paper crafter, it should, because you've seen ideology backdrops in this, or worn wallpaper, or the postmark sticker book. That's where all of this art came from. So like these collage strips, these are the ones that Paula designed for ideology, and we just took that art, created a repeat. So even the little clipping stickers and all of that is in here, and it's really beautiful. You can see how well everything works together. The other great thing about this collection is all of these vintage elements are real things. These are real tickets we scanned in, or maps, or different pieces of ephemera. And I just love seeing, of course, the inspiration and how all of these fabrics really play nice. Like, look at this beautiful light pink toile lining of this zipper bag. Isn't that great? Just out of fabric. Then, of course, if you're into tickets or stamps, I mean, take a look at this. How cool is that? With inside, it's got little pockets inside. This is the pink typography. There's a little zipper pocket on the inside of this. I mean, this could be used for so many different things. I mean, yeah, serious talent. To put a zipper inside there, please. I couldn't do that. I couldn't even construct this, but I love it. I love that gusset on the bottom, but you can see how wonderful the art is of palette. And these tickets, typography, color, and style, all in one. So yeah, these little zipper pouches, I think this is one of the first things that are posted, because, well, one could never have too many little zipper bags. Am I right? That is true. The next thing Rochelle did with pink is also created this little pouch. And this one, of course, this is zippered, this is quilted, but it also has this vinyl. So this is perfect for different sewing tools. So if you're putting, scissors, threads, little rulers in there, you can do that. But take a look at that beautiful quilting. Now this back design, this is the collage strip print. So what's really unique about this particular print, I'll pull this back a little bit, is that although it's looks all pieced together, it isn't. This is part of the design. You could go in and isolate these by cutting and sewing, but because of this collage nature, it already has that patchwork vibe. She just quilted it. There, you can see from the back. So she put it back to back and quilted it just with this diagonal pattern. Beautiful, right? And then we've got all of the edge. Now this, I'm thinking this is, I don't know. See, I always get confused. This could be binding or this could be piping. It's going to be one or the other. But this is the pink ephemera. Look at all that typography going around. I'm sure I'll see it in the chat in no time. It usually does. But yeah, isn't that cool? What you can do with fabric. The other thing to note, maybe you don't sew, but maybe binding. See, there you go. I knew. Thanks, P. I could that. I'm like, it's going to be one or the other. The thing to know, if you don't sew, but maybe you have a friend that does sew, that's when you reach out to them. You're like, hey, if I get some fabric, can you make me some stuff? Rochelle has made me many a shirts, and Mario, pajamas, hats, all that. Because, hey, when they love to sew, it's no different than if you're a card maker and you love to make cards. And if someone said, hey, if I buy you some stuff, can you make it? Yeah. So I do. I love these bags and pouches that Rochelle did. This is a make Paula did. And so this is what I was talking about when it comes to fabric. Now, all of this stuff, this is all done with fat quarters. So when you see the pieces, when these open up, they are big enough to create these types of projects. But also in the world of mixed media, art, junk journaling, you can incorporate fabric. And you might think to yourself, well, couldn't I just do this with paper? You could do it with paper, but it's not going to look like paper or feel like it. I mean, if you did it with paper, it would, but fabric is what's really going to give it a whole nother life. So if you look at this, this started out as etc. from Stampers Anonymous. These are the hardboard tags, and these are the etc. facade. So this is made out of hardboard. So the background, this is all done with fabric. And you can put texture paste. So Paula went in and did the texture paste crackle right over the fabric because it would adhere to that. But when you feel it, it just has such a different, unique texture and feel than just working with paper. I love how she covered this shield with fabric, but then also just did that little stitching and little quilting, little warm and natural in there, just a little bit of fluff. And then as that's stitched in between the stamps, it just gives it that whole wonderful quilted design, and then adding ideology. So here's ephemera. So yes, you can glue things to fabric. So if you're like, I can't construct things out of fabric, that doesn't mean you don't need it. It just means you need to work with fabric in a way that is comfortable to you. And if you're like, hey, this is something totally my jam. I can take that, I can layer it, I can sew the best I can of these straight lines, cut it out, and then do all of your embellishments right on top of it. So here you've got some layers, you've got your frame, your photo booth, and metal embellishment. So this is a great crossover. And the nice thing also, when it comes to different types of makes, whether it's going to be journals or whether it's going to be physical, tangible product, or just using it in your art mediums, it's about tying in all the things that you like, all the things that make you happy. To me, that is the beauty of a palette. So yeah, just a few inspirational makes on pink. Nice, isn't it? Who knew we would be starting out with pink, but we had to go in kind of that rainbowy order. I think that's to be expected, right? Okay, from pink, we went in and did red. So red was the next color, and of course, this had just a lot of different designs and different elements, which I think is really cool. So this first one in red, Rochelle did this beautiful pillow. I love the hearts on it. Of course, it was so timely for Valentine's Day, but also just for home decor. But look at all of these designs. Again, with fat quarters, other than this back piece. This is when you would want yardage of that if you didn't want to piece things together. But fat quarters for all of the front. And just take a look at how these designs work so well together. We have this wonderful kind of tapestry in red. One of my favorites, this is all the ledger. If you look at this background, it's got all that handwriting and just that little bit of red lines in there. There's also some smaller scale, little ditzy prints, we call them. They're just small little patterns. We did this a lot in ideology, something that was a total favorite for Paula. Tickets, love the tickets in here. There you can see the little patchwork of the collage strips. I mean, Rochelle, this is just, it's beautiful. It's so cool. And when you talk to Rochelle and I'm like, I don't even know, she's like, it's easy. It's easy when you know how. That's what it's all about. The stamps, or of course, the solids. Now, the thing to also note when it comes to constructing, you can die cut fabric. You can die cut fabric with both your steel rule dies and your thin dies, as long as it's not too intricate. There's different types of stabilizers you can put on the back of fabric to make that easier, that you can simply iron on. So if you're looking at this and you're like, well, you know, I can't sew this hard or patchwork it, you can still go in and, you know, add a stabilizer on that. That always helps. And then maybe die cut hearts and sew them on. You'll see some cards as well in this live. So beautiful, right? Beautiful pillow. Oh, so nice. Then we have another piece that Rochelle did. So again, another quilting. This is a different type of tool thing. That's the other thing in the fabric world. There are so many bags and totes and different ways to organize things. It's pretty surprising. And if you look in this, Mario, by the way, on Paula's, if you haven't already, if you can put the link to Paula's makes. Paula actually did, I'm going to just jump back to this real quick, back in pink. Paula does a blog post for all of her makes because she does incorporate both fabric and ideology. So Mario, if you don't mind throwing the link to this pink make, and I'll do that for each one. So if you are into paper craft, even if you're just inspired by this and you want to sub fabric for paper, you could do that, but it's really nice that she shows you really how to incorporate that. And Rochelle has a few blog posts on some of her stuff, but you know, when it comes to patterns, not everybody wants to blog patterns that belong to someone else. So, but I love this little caddy. You can see that it's got all these different pockets in here. So these could be sewing tools, or maybe you want to use it for brushes or scissors. It just depends on what your style is. And the other nice thing about creating your own tool caddies is you can make it to whatever size you want to make it to fit what you need. All of these squares, these are all different fabrics where she incorporated not just red, but also with pink. Because what you're going to see in palette as we go through is that although each of these color collections are beautiful with each other, they also complement the next colorway coming out. So you can mix and match. And you know, if you don't have a budget for fat quarters, but you want to just buy some certain yardage, the other opportunity is just to curate your own palette, where you have your favorite designs in each colorway, and maybe you buy that and then you kind of build your palette that way if you don't, because there will be 120 different designs in palette when we're done with the colors, and that doesn't include seasonal. So there's a lot of stuff. Plus, of course, we're going to have multi in there. But I love how Rochelle incorporated the red and the pink, so you can see how it does pull out just the different colors. So if you think you can't use it together, you absolutely can. And then she die cut this little heart out of felt, did some stitching, added the buttons, and then she's got this tie around it. But just, I mean, even seeing all the different designs together, where we've got the photos from the collage strips, the game cards, the tickets, it's just wonderful. So inspiring, right? So inspiring to see it all together. And yes, Paula and Rochelle are both here in the live, so a shout out to them. I'm sure if you have specific questions, they can definitely answer them more than I can, that's for sure. So beautiful on that. Then these cards, I mentioned that there were going to be cards. Rochelle also made these cards. So often, you know, when you're working with fat quarters or fabric and you're like, I'm just a card maker, how would I incorporate it? These are great ideas. You can see here where she just used that piece of fabric, just stitched it. I love all the messy threads. That's all me. Put that right onto a craft card. Even down here, that little background of the stamps, also fabric, and then that felt heart on the top. Here, if you were creating any stripes and you want to piece it together, even just using some practice pieces, this is great to stitch some pieces together and then either freehand, so this is just done with a little pinked edge, and then stitched on. And I love that, like, double stitching. This is more my style, like kind of going off the rails. Rochelle probably had to really try to go off the rails because she can just, her and Paula both can sew that straight line. But I love how she incorporated the ideology label stickers with that. And then of course that little quilted panel where you've got just those little cut pieces, making those little smaller pieces. But this time, instead of sewing all the squares together, look, these are just cut and laid onto this piece of Warm and Natural, and then just quilted on the diagonal. So she didn't even go in and just sew these together. These could be tacked down and then stitched on there, and then a die cut word panel over the top with fabric in the back. Isn't that nice? That's the whole thing about incorporating fabric, that you don't have to be a quilter to love fabric. And that is something I learned, because when I started designing fabric, really I was like, I can design it, but I don't use fabric. I have no interest. And I absolutely love when fabric is incorporated into makes. You'll see in just a minute the inspiration too. So great cards, Rochelle. Then these tags Paula created. So Mario, if you can put up that link for Paula and these tags. This was really cool. This actually even inspired Paula to start doing more tags. I'll talk about that.
Is that red?
Yes, this is red. Thank you. This is where she created a series just on a number 8 tag, but each one she just incorporated fabric and still used ideology layers. There's sellotape, there's the adornments, the little clips, but even some of the elements like this little stamp, that could have been a sticker from ideology, but instead she just cut out a stamp from the fabric and stitched that on. And I love just the frayed edges. And each one of these, she just created a unique collage, but using fabric. So here, using the ticket fabric over that little tiny ditzy print, but I love how she did all the stitching. You see all that little sewing? There we go. You can see on the back too. all the sewing, just framing the tickets, but then still putting sellotape on fabric, still doing the metal adornment, still adding clipping stickers, adding paper dolls. It's just really nice when all of those textures go together, because it really has some beautiful, beautiful results. I love this. I love the stripe. This just reminds me of just, I don't know, it reminds me of like an ice cream shop or Mary Poppins. I love this red design because it's just beautiful wallpaper with rose. But then here, she put a little bit of that stabilizer on that stamp and then stapled it on. So you can still incorporate fabric and doesn't always have to be sewn on. You can, if you didn't own a sewing machine, you can make all these tags and glue all these components, right? Just using a little collage medium. There's some adornments, photo booth. I just love them. I love seeing all the use of fabric. This is just isolating the components in the collage strip. See, just sewing around them. And so you can do white, you can do black thread, you can do whatever. That's really, really cool. And the little adornments, paper dolls, and again, still using some ephemera and layers. And look at this one. How charming is that? Again, there's that ledger fabric. There's a little postage. And each one of these are cut out, but the edges are just left, and then it's just sewn around the stamp to kind of isolate the art. And then I love that little handle with care, paper doll, ideology adornment, and then some sellotape. So when you look at these tags, so cool. So when Paula created these, because I remember when she did them for Red, she goes, I just started making and I couldn't stop. So I made 5 of them. They were just too much fun. That also inspired her to go back and do tags for each color. So I think she's posting that on her blog today. I think it's going to be today. I'm not sure. Paula's in the chat. She'll let me know. But she's going to show you all the tags that she's done, and she's going to be doing a new tag every single color as well that she'll be posting. Oh, today. Thanks, P. So there'll be a blog post on Paula's blog of the other tags that she did in the other colorways leading up to yellow, and then she'll be doing it every month. So cool, right? Because when you're inspired to do it, you're like, hey, it's really a fun way to utilize ideology. So again, if you're a card maker, tag maker, junk journaler, maybe that inspires you to say, hey, I'm going to start a journal and I want to do like a section or a page of a different colorway and just keep adding to it as we go through palette. Just really, just beautiful. So that's the cool thing with Red, which I just think is super fun. I love all the colors. And then we will get into orange. All right, that's next. I gotta look back because I set everything up in colors and it's like, I gotta remember all the colors. Look at this. Oh, okay. So for orange, let's actually, I think I'm just gonna start with Paula's because it's right here and I just want to talk about it because one thing inspired the next. When I was setting up for this live, I saw this make when she posted it on social last month. I did. But when I saw it in person, I'm like, I need to do this. So the same way Paula was inspired to do tags, I think I'm going to be inspired to do a card file. I got some catching up to do. I got 4 colors, but yeah, I think I'm going to go in and I'm going to make these in different colors and I'll start sharing it on social. So this is a whole nother project type. So this is a vignette card file. This is from Ideology. And then Paula went in and used the pocket cards. So we already sell like all the pre-cut pockets, envelopes, all of that fit this vignette box. But she went in and did her fabric magic on all of these. So what I like about this is I don't have to cut any of my foundation things. I just get to take something and embellish it. So I've yet to go through all of these, so we're just going to go through them together. But yeah, I just think it'd be cool because I can do like a couple of each color, and then by the time I'm done, I have that whole rainbow of cards. These could be, you know, just art, or you can just do all card fronts that you want to put on something. Let's look at these together, shall we? Because it's cool. So here we've got this this tabbed card. I love how it just has a piece of that fabric for orange. This is such a beautiful design. Take a look at that design. I love the florals. And then again, a little stabilizer on there and just stitch. See, I like these because they're kind of like clothing tags. I just think that's fabulous. So good. So good. Then there's also just cards. So even mini cards. Now, okay, I'll be honest. I probably wouldn't be able to sew directly on a card. That would freak my freak, but I could sew on a panel and glue it on. But look at that. Look at this whole patchwork. So we've got the collage and then just that added stamp. And then all your sewing. My sewing is really messy, the back, but I love it. I just have fun doing it. But see, like it already looks like you collaged everything and put it together and you just took the fabric, you put it on. So that's the thing. And then just added your sewing. But any of your other, oh, this is one of the little accordions. So here's a tiny clip. I'm going to take that off. Oh, look at that. See, you can take your favorite stamps, stencils. This is the embroidery stamp set with Stampers Anonymous. Look how beautiful that pairs with fabric, because it's all from vintage embroidery. But even if this gives you an idea of saying, hey, I want to do an accordion book or do a mini book of that, you can incorporate fabric, of course, with stamps and all your other ephemera. But the background, this is palette. And then she's got the frame, some ephemera, and then just kind of carried on that design, because these designs often repeat like in the collage strips, and then added some elements. That's also fabric, because you can see, I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but I can just tell when you look at it, you know, that's obviously shiny metallic. This one, of course, is just ephemera, so it's matte, but I can tell right away that that stamp is fabric, because you see that beautiful linen weave. And then, of course, just that little piece back here with this charming little Photomatic, the sellotape. Just love that. See, we're just going. Here's a pocket. So the pocket cards already have like these library pockets. So I love how she did a little worn wallpaper back there. And then there is the palette fabric. And then just doing a tag with texture paste, so you can choose your favorite distress colors or any colors that you have. And you can, I got to remember that little clip. And then you can add it to the elements. I don't want to mess up her make. Let me put that little clip back on there. There we go. Here, oh, see, look at that. Look at that. That whole little calendar, that's also from the fabric. I love really how she used the sellotape with fabric, because I just think that's really, because when you touch it, it has that beautiful feel, but also the dimension. There's that collage paper, and then inside, oh my God, look at that. Come on. A beautiful, that's the whole stamp. See, there's that embroidery stamp. See, it's just wonderful outlines. There's some text. And then all of these elements are fabric. It's all palette. Just little cut pieces of the map, the stamp. So the same way you would be inspired to go in and cut apart your favorite papers should be no different in the world of fabric. I just think that's so good. Yeah, you can use sellotape with everything. Here's the transparency. And then, of course, that pocket card already comes with a window. So you have the reveal of just this cute little ditzy print on there. I love just all of those little frayed threads just sewing right through them to keep them on. So even if these were just starter points, and each one she kind of created that same repeat. So on the blog post, because I already checked it out, it was cool because like kind of once you learn, I'll just say the basics from that first stack, it was really just repetition. From an idea perspective, you're just choosing different art. But look at how beautiful the scale and even the detail. This is fabric. This is fabric. And there's just nothing, really, there's nothing that beats it. I got to tell you, incorporating fabric with papers and your embellishments, it's wonderful. There's just another little, you could do blank cards, you can do accordions. I mean, there's so many cool things that you can do. I love the frames, and I also just love how she took these and incorporated them with stamps, embellishments, but the fabric. So you see how the light hits it? That you can tell right away is paper, and then we get into fabric. But still incorporating with all of your favorite art mediums and add your coloring. That right there is the crossover. It's the crossover that we needed, because I think sometimes, and that was even like that, back in the scrapbook card making days, where you either scrapbooked or you made cards, and now everyone's just making. You make whatever you want. I think the fabric world, it's really cool, because sometimes, you see these beautiful quilts or pillows or wearables, and you don't see a lot of the mixed media with a lot of fabric and paper. And so, not saying it's not out there, but you don't see a lot of it. And so that's why, that's always Paula's assignment of, okay, take fabric, but use it in a way where you're incorporating it with paper or texture paste or embellishments. I think that's important. Isn't that wonderful? So fun. I can just tell by the chat too, like, see, after I saw this, I'm like, I need to make this, but I need to make it. I mean, I love how she did it all in the same colorway, because obviously that was the assignment, but I can't wait to just, I can easily make a couple of these every month. Come on, you can set aside time for that. And if you have a project going, then even if you get behind a little bit, you'll have it to catch up. I just think that's fabulous. I cannot get over these little stamps. I need to learn my corners though. So that I am going to probably Zoom with Paula. I can't turn a corner like that. My stamp would have a lot of it might be a circular sewing around there, because I can't I can't turn the corners. I can't. Mario says, well, like, what are you stepping on the gas so fast for? Because when I sew, it's like, it's pedal to the metal, people. I got things to do. I love that. Yeah, it is. The machine is just whirring away. The thing's just flying out of the back. But I love it. And that to me is what's important, right? I was so intimidated for years when I would attend Quilt Market because, you know, I felt that I didn't belong there because I didn't know all the lingo and then I just realized, like, they're makers just like everyone else. Their specialty is obviously fabric, the same way my specialty would be ink. But together, if you just kind of listen, they're happy to share and inspire. They don't judge. I think that's the beauty of the creative industry. I love how really Paula put on these collage papers. Oh, look at that. It's just a little folded piece of fabric as a pull tab. That's cute. Very cool. See, it was a good idea. Look at that.
Aaron has an idea for
already knew.
corners.
There you go.
If you have the needle down stop on your machine, that makes turning sharp corners.
Correct. Correct. You would be correct. Yes. Because Paula and Rochelle both told me that. They're like, just stop your needle on the corner. See, I have trouble with the very first step, which is stopping.
You can't stop it on the corner.
Because I go,
you're ready to stop, it's already flown out.
That's the thing. I just have to learn to like bring the fabric back and put the needle. So I just need to be like lower on the foot. I need to put my machine in turtle mode, if there is such a thing, to slow it down. Anyway,
fast forward mode.
Beautiful, beautiful make using the Ideology vignette card file, and of course all of these cards do it. It's just so inspiring, right? For orange, love that. So Paula does have a blog post on that. Mari, if you could post orange, it's just really, really cool to see. All right. These for orange, Rochelle created these, super charming. These are little pin cushions, but look at how great all of these prints and designs go together, because there's a couple different botanicals in orange in particular. We just felt it was a color that really allowed us to incorporate a lot of elements from toadstools, but there's also kind of this French encyclopedia of these florals, but then there's also like this floral sketchbook. That's this one. So Rochelle used both of these, and I just love it because this one has a lot more kind of open space. This one has a lot of beautiful colors of warm colors, but also the green leaves. There you can see the tickets. Here's an ephemera one. There's several collections in palette that's just all ephemera, where it was all those ephemeras in colors. And what's really important to know, we didn't color correct this stuff. So it's like, it's really orange ephemera that we pulled together, or yellow ephemera. We didn't just do a color wash. And I think that's also unique. There's that sketchbook all the way around there and on the back too. So really cute. I love squishing them. They're squishy. They're cute. Here's another one. So here you can see the collage strips. This, I will say, I'm glad we did these collage strips. Obviously, we did them for Ideology and all the colors, but I'm really glad that we did this in palette. There were just some designs that we felt were super strong that we wanted to do in every colorway because it was very different. So the art and everything, all the elements on each of these collage strips per color is totally different. And what's nice is this is just one piece of fabric. So when you see all these different elements already patchwork, that was the nice thing about that, because, you know, it is a little off register because these were done in strips and these are offset to do. So it just makes that kind of patchwork style really easy. Plus, of course, I love the photography in there. And then, of course, around we've got some other pieces. There's little maps. There's that calendar piece that was cut off from Paula. I love the choices made as well. See, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I just love it. My gosh. I can't get enough of this fabric. And I'll eat my words, because there were certain colorways where I'm like, could we just like split that? Like, do we really need to do a whole month of orange or a whole month of yellow? And man, I'm glad we did. Yeah, really, really good. So Rochelle did a whole series of bags. Like, these are little nested bags. This is a pouch, and they're so fun. And she has posted these on social, so definitely check that out. And like I said, she has that blog post where she posted all the patterns. So Mari, if you don't mind putting Rochelle's link back in. So if you wanted to know, like, did you do a pattern for this or that, she has all the information. But here's another little zipper bag. Again, this could be a pencil pouch. This could be, see, there's that. I'm going to turn this inside out. This is that ephemera design that I was telling you about. Like, see, look at all that. It's all just different peach and orange ephemera, back of cabinet cards, tickets. There's so many different elements that we put in here. So just having this fabric, this is one of those things that, you know, I'm not much of a guy that says sometimes you want to buy stuff just to look at it. I wouldn't judge you on that, because to me, fabric, like, I just like having it so I can look at it. I have a fat quarter bundle of every single color in my studio just because a lot of times I want to do this, and then I have another set that I've actually opened to use because, I don't know, I like it. But yeah, beautiful little bag. And again, this is using the collage strip design on both sides, and then of course the inside was that ephemera. These bags, these are so cool because when Mario was unpacking, he's like, I think there's something inside. And he, like, this bag was in this was in this. And there were two little sets of these nested little bags. They're kind of, they have a little gusset on there, but take a look at them. How cute. All little zipper bags. Small ones. So here, now you can see more of that floral. Isn't that beautiful? That French encyclopedia. Here's the toadstools. So if you're doing a little bag set, this bag would fit inside here and here. Great for a gift. But look at that design of, this was really a popular design. I love them. I love all that. Because again, that came from a French encyclopedia. Here's the sketchbook. So see what I mean? It's very different than this one, but you saw on like the pincushion, just how well everything works together, even from scale and kind of open areas or not. I just think that's really beautiful because it had the line art when they sketched the flower, and then the watercolor version of that. Beautiful. And then even like just some of the sketch lines where they were just starting out the shapes. It was just really cool art. But I love how Jenna did the repeat, because, you know, Jenna, who did the art for this, it was a team effort. We took the art that Chris did at Advantis for Ideology, shared it with Jenna, but a lot of this stuff was never intended to ever be fabric. So creating these repeats to make a design, it's beautiful. And then having scale and everything figured out, just pretty magical. But look at these. Here's another little set. Like, look at the tickets. And so the tickets, of course, are a little smaller than your average ticket, but we wanted to make sure the typography wasn't obnoxious because we were putting so many on here. But I love the tickets. There are the stamps. And again, in each color, the stamps for orange are different than the ones for yellow, different than the ones for pink or red. There's all different postage stamps. Same with the tickets. Just think that's great. And then again, there's that ephemera. Isn't that great? And of course, all these bags lined, all just to the T. Look at this one. So fun. Pun intended with the sew. I just think it's great. So for those that can sew, to me, that's like such a superpower when I see bags or just something like that. It is. It's a superpower, and I know, like with anything else, if I devoted more time to learning it, there's no doubt I could. No doubt. Right now, I just enjoy the playtime for fabric because I just don't have to take myself so seriously if I don't have any expectations. That's the best way to also start out when you're creating. Set your sights kind of low, all right? Then I've got some other things. There's a couple of other things that Rochelle did that are much bigger. So I'll just talk real quick about yellow, because yellow is the color that is in store that we're talking about all month long. So like I said, there's only been one make that have been shared for yellow. And thank you, Rochelle, for shipping it to me. She just posted it yesterday. And I'll switch cameras just so you guys can see it. But take a look at this quilted tote. For those that saw it on social, just the engagement was overwhelming for Rochelle, because it's a bag of happy. It's so colorful and so fun. It's got pockets in here. Like I said, I'll hold it up on the other camera, but I just wanted you to see just the quilting and the detail of all of these different designs from palette. It's got pockets on the end, and then Rochelle also did a quilt. So let me switch cameras and just keep talking about the inspiration a little bit. So here is the bag. Like, take a look at that. Isn't that cool? That squared bag and all of those yellows. When you see the florals and the tickets and the typography, even this one with like the little moths, so beautiful. I know, fainted, I agree. It's so cool. And then even seeing the designs inside, because really the beauty of Eclectic Elements, everyone in the fabric space, and with any designer, everybody has a certain aesthetic and style. And for me, when I started doing fabric, It was all about being random. I didn't know anything. So that I think is the reality of it. I didn't know anything about fabric to even understand that maybe you should do things with different scale and different repeat and have colorways in a collection. For me, it was like this random idea, and none of the stuff went together. That's what made it eclectic. But we always called it perfectly imperfect. And seeing that now, because Eclectic Elements has been going for so many years, that now people look at this and they aren't as shocked by it as they were when they first saw it, because they're like, why would you want to put tickets with flowers, with moths, with a photograph? Well, because it's cool, because it all works together. Like, why would you want to line this with tickets and then put a flower pot? Because it's cool. So that's what I really love about Eclectic Elements. So this bag, again, the outside fat quarters, but obviously the inside, when you need to the lining and the bigger pieces. Oh, look at this one. This is one of the solids in yellow. I'm glad Rochelle did this. I'm glad I flipped it over. Look at that, like chippy paint. Isn't that cool? That's all part of the fabric. Even on the salvage edge, it says, the imperfections in this are by design, because there's little flecks and little things that, when we first did it, people thought, well, what's going on with that? Like, why do I have a smudge on here? Because it's meant for that. Then she did a quilt. So we're kind of going back to the first three colors when we had pink, red, and orange out. Rochelle's like, can I make a quilt? Like, of course you can. She loves it. So here is a quilt that she did. She did post this as well. This is all done with fat quarters, with the exception of obviously the binding on the edge and the backing, but all of the piecing, that's done with fat quarters. And then of course she just did a neutral color for the hearts. But take a look at this. I'll try to hold it up, but I need to still like see the camera because I can't. There we go. Isn't that wonderful? So this again is pink, red, and orange. So colors that you think like, would you ever put orange with pink and red? Yep. So that's the other thing that we do each month. So when Rochelle does her makes, she will do one make that's devoted to the color of that month. And then she'll do another make where she is challenged to use all the colors that have been released previously, kind of mix it all together. Because I think she loves the challenge, but I also think it's just a great reminder, because some people would look and think like, well, I can't use those colors together and I miss this, but she can. See, quilts are so hard for me because I don't even know how to hold them up. All right, here, I'll get it. I'll get there, I promise. There we go. It's hard because it's backwards. I don't know, I hope you guys can see it. See, I can't see myself when I show it. Am I showing it all right?
Yeah.
Good deal. It's just beautiful, isn't it? I love that. Of course, there's better pictures, but you can see how typography, ditzy prints, all of that work together. And then this is the back of the quilt. The back is that small print from red. See all that little detail? But look at the quilting. Rochelle does all that. Because I was like, who does your quilting? She's like, hello, I do. Wow, just pretty amazing. So this to me is, I think, the importance / excitement of palette and just sharing it with you, because sometimes it does take a little while to either convince yourself or just understand if there's a need. And there still might not be. You may be like, I have no space, no headspace for fabric. But I'm telling you, if you embrace it, or if you do fabric and you want to work with palette, it is just such a great thing to not only release, and I'm so grateful for Free Spirit for really believing in this program, to all the retailers out there. We refer to them as charter member retailers, because here's the thing about that as well. The retailers that signed up for palette, they signed up for the whole year. So it wasn't like picking and choosing. They were either in or out. And so I'm so grateful to the stores. There's over 300 stores that were like, we're in and we will commit to the whole year. They didn't get to see all the art. They didn't get to do what they normally do in their fabric space, which is look at catalogs, look at the art, decide what works for their customer or their store. They had to just commit to the whole program. And I'm really grateful, but at the same time, also exciting, because they don't really know what they're getting other than it's going to be in that color that we've assigned for that month. And so I think there's also a whole year of surprises for those that like surprises, the same way we did new color for distress. It's exciting to see what new color is coming out that next month. You'll know from the schedule, but more importantly, the designs that are in it and how you can incorporate it. So I just love the idea of palette. Like I said, it is a year-long program. We are 4 colors in. We have more colors to go throughout the year. And there's also, like I said, a seasonal launch that happens in July. So I think in July I'll do another live, probably for the previous 4 colors, just like I did here, so I can share some makes and inspiration, and then also talk about that seasonal collection. It's really, really fun. I love the idea. So anyway, that was good fun. I like to share.